Gigabyte have a new glossy version of the MO27Q28G that I'm super keen to check out here at CES 2026, along with a couple of other OLED monitors that we're going to take a look at. So let's go take a look. Thanks to MSI for sponsoring our CES coverage. Check out MSI's gaming desktops, inside of which you'll find powerful AMD Ryzen or Intel Core Ultra processors, NVIDIA GeForce RTX graphics with ray tracing and DLSS, and the latest connectivity, including up to PCIe Gen 5 SSDs, Wi-Fi 7 and 5GB LAN. MSI's Silent Storm cooling AI uses smart fan algorithms and separated airflow chambers, combined with up to 360mm AIOs, to keep temperatures low and minimize noise under load. There's tempered glass side panels, clean interiors, and excellent designs to choose from. Learn more about MSI's gaming desktops via the links in the description.
Also supporting our CES coverage is Thermal Grizzly and their Cryo Sheet, an excellent alternative to thermal pastes, and because they don't use any liquid, they can never dry out. These graphene thermal pads offer very high thermal conductivity, are easy to use, are extremely durable, and can be used to maximize your CPU and/or GPU's cooling performance. So for more information, please check the links in the video description. We'd also like to thank Endorphy, creators of the award-winning Fluctus fans, available in both 120 and 140mm. These high-performance fans are designed to move air efficiently in dense spaces, with focused airflow and reduced noise. Perfect for CPU, power supplies, PC cases, and more. So to learn more, please click the links in the video description.
So this is a product that I'm super excited has been announced at CES 2026 from Gigabyte. It is the MO27Q28G-R. Now, if you've been following Monitors Unboxed for a while, you probably would have seen our review of the MO27Q28G. So that's sort of a predecessor, sort of an alternate version of this monitor. So this is a 27-inch 1440p 280Hz WOLED. The previous version, the non-R version, comes with a matte screen coating. And when we were talking about these products in the review, I was sort of comparing to the other Asus model that also uses the new primary RGB tandem OLED panel and all those sorts of things. But Asus were implementing what they called true black glossy coating. And so that enabled us to have a nice glossy finish. And then Gigabyte came out with their version, which was matte. However, I don't want to say they've fixed this for CES 2026, but they've released a new version that is now glossy. So it is the exact same type of glossy coating as you would see from Asus's True Black Glossy, because it comes directly, of course, from LG Display. Asus just uses True Black Glossy branding to refer to LG Display's glossy coating, but we're getting the exact same experience now on the MO27Q28G-R. So if you want the glossy version, you'll now be able to do so. The good news that I was told is that it will have the same $600 US price. So currently on Newegg, the matte version is priced at $599. This version will also be $599. So you'll be able to choose yourself. There's no real sacrifices there. I'm told that it will be available in late February, so it's very close to being available. And we did hear some whispers about this monitor at Computex last year, where Gigabyte was sort of talking about exploring more glossy options, and it seems like they're fully committed to that now. Now, interestingly, they are calling this real black. So with Asus, it's true black. With Gigabyte, it's real black. Again, branding for the same sort of thing. One of the other features that they're sort of debuting here or showing here with these two monitors, these are both identical versions of the MO27Q28G, but one of these is running what they're calling hypernits, which is a new mode that provides increased brightness and color brightness, or color volume, I guess, in certain high APL scenes. So the idea here is in sort of these brighter environments where you're sort of seeing, high APL content, that they're just boosting the brightness for you. It's not meant to sort of be a super accurate mode. It's meant for people that just want increased brightness out of their WOLED panels. One of the benefits when we're running these sorts of demos is, WOLED panels don't suffer from panel dimming like QD-OLED, so you don't need to do things like MSI's EOTF boost or those sorts of things. Generally speaking, the MO27Q28G is quite an accurate monitor, but some people just want increased brightness in their HDR games, and that's where this hypernits feature comes along. So you can choose to use it or not, and it's also not just available on this monitor, but some of the other monitors that we're just about to look at. So let's go look at those. Next up, we're taking a look at the MO34WQC36. So we've already tested a few monitors that use this very same panel, but this is Gigabyte's version of the new V-Stripe QD-OLED, so 34 inches, 3440 by 1440 at 360 Hertz. So this produces all of the latest benefits, display HDR True Black 500 certification, so again that higher brightness, 300 nits full screen, up to 1300 nits in small HDR windows. It should be very similar to the Asus and MSI monitors that we've already tested extensively. So if you want to know the basic performance of these panels, go check out the videos that we've already produced. A couple of interesting specs to go through on this one. This is a DisplayPort 2.1 UHBR 13.5 version, so very similar to the MSI model. The Asus model provides us the full UHBR 20 spec. They also have got their own brand name for what Asus are calling Black Shield and what MSI call Dark Armor. So Gigabyte's version of that is called Obsidian Shield. So effectively what that refers to is the new ambient light handling technology that goes into the QD-OLED panel. So you get deeper blacks in brighter ambient light environments. We've got some testing results so you can sort of see the difference between this generation of panels and the first generation of the QD-OLED ultrawides. The other interesting thing about Gigabyte's version is that it should be the cheapest model that we've seen so far. So they've told us a price of $999 US, so $1,000 US, and it should be available pretty soon. So that would make it cheaper than the MSI model, the only other model that we have pricing for right now. MSI's model is $1,100 US. This will be about $100 cheaper. So that could make it the most attractive option. It just depends on how the performance, calibration, HDR modes, and those sorts of things go. Like we talked about with the MO27Q28GR, this also includes the Hypernits feature if you did want to use that. That may help a little bit more on a QD-OLED because of the panel dimming issues. We'll have to see how it goes on QD-OLED versus WOLED for that other monitor. But yeah, we'll try to check this out at some point. Of course, it's got the latest Gigabyte design with the very compact stand, which is quite nice for the ultra-wide, especially because that Asus model has quite large pronged legs, so it uses more desk space. With the Gigabyte, you get a flat stand, so that's quite nice. Anyway, let's move on to the next monitor. And lastly, we've got the Gigabyte MO32U24. This is using the latest 2026 generation of QD-OLED panels, 32-inch 4K, 240Hz, so very similar spec to we've seen from the 32-inch 4K QD-OLEDs from, I think they debuted at the start of 2024, if I'm remembering correctly. But this latest generation, it's not a huge improvement in terms of the specification, but we do now get display HDR True Black 500 cert, so that just means higher full screen brightness, a bit higher on the peak brightness as well potentially. And we're getting the new coating advancements as well, as I think someone just dropped a motherboard or something over there. Anyway, aside from that, yeah, like I said, screen coating improvements, so Obsidian Shield, we get deeper blacks in those brighter ambient light environments. Also get the screen hardness improvements from 2H to 3H with this panel. We're also getting the Hypernits feature that was talked about on the other two products. So the interesting thing about this one is that this will be debuting this latest generation panel at a price point of just $850 US, available in the late parts of February. So it seems like a pretty good price given that a lot of other 4K QD-OLEDs have been around, that sort of $900-ish to $1,000-ish price point. We will be testing one of these panels, not necessarily the Gigabyte, but we do have back at home to test the Asus ROG Swift PG32 UCDM Gen 3 model, which uses again this latest version, True Black 500, etc. So you'll be able to at least see how this panel performs quite soon, and then hopefully at some point in the future we'll be able to test the Gigabyte model as well, especially if the price point ends up being as good as Gigabyte are telling us right here. So we're done here at the Gigabyte booth checking out their new monitors at CES 2026. They haven't launched a whole ton of new products here. I think at Computex 2025 we saw quite a much larger range of products at the show, but a couple of interesting additions here, largely related to their OLED monitors. Again, that glossy version of the MO27Q28G, the new R version, is super exciting, makes it much more competitive, and the fact that it's the same price is super interesting. And then we've got the new QD-OLEDs as well that we'll hopefully check out, and they do appear to be being released at quite an attractive price point. So Gigabyte tends to do quite well in that front, so as long as the performance is up to scratch, and we'll be testing that at some point in the future, it could be the monitors to get. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.